Right now, some of you are in a situation that feels like a dead end. The bills are piling up. The dreams look distant. The prayers feel unanswered. But I came to tell you, your current situation is not your final condition. Don't let today's struggle trick you into believing it's permanent. The very place you're standing in can be the launching pad to your greatest breakthrough. God is about to multiply you beyond recognition. Every great destiny begins in a hidden, uncomfortable season. The seed doesn't look like the tree. The caterpillar doesn't look like the butterfly. The process never resembles the promise. And yet, the process is proof that transformation is happening. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are in preparation. And what God does in preparation, He always multiplies in manifestation. The pain you're experiencing now is proof that you're pregnant with greatness. When you look at your life right now, it might feel like everything around you is locked in place. The bills don't move. The doors don't open. The people you counted on are no longer there. It's easy to believe that what you see right now is all there will ever be. But let me remind you, what you're walking through today is a season, not a sentence. The situation you are in is temporary. The purpose inside you is eternal. A seed buried in the ground looks dead, but inside that seed is a blueprint for a forest. Just because you're buried doesn't mean you're finished. You're planted, not buried. And the difference between being buried and being planted is the expectation of growth. Think of Joseph, thrown into a pit by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, imprisoned for years. Every outward sign said, "This is your life now." But his purpose was bigger than his prison. His calling was not canceled by his circumstances. The same pit that was supposed to end his life became the first step to his palace. Your life may feel like that pit right now, dark, lonely, and unfair. But it's also a place where your character is being forged, your skills are being sharpened, and your resilience is being built. One day, you will look back and see that the pain you endured was the training ground for the destiny you're stepping into. Look at a student working night shifts while trying to graduate. To the outside world, it looks like a struggle, but to that student, it's a stepping stone. Look at the single mother raising children while juggling 2 jobs. It looks like hardship, but it's also an arena where strength, compassion, and discipline are being built every single day. Your current situation might be stretching you to your limits, but what it's doing on the inside is preparing you for heights you couldn't handle otherwise. You have to stop judging your future by your present conditions. A diamond doesn't look like a diamond in its raw form. It's hidden under rock, dirt, and pressure. But under that pressure, carbon atoms align, and something unbreakable is created. The pressure you're under today is evidence of your potential tomorrow. Every champion you admire once stood where you are, feeling unseen, overlooked, and underestimated. They didn't give up in their temporary seasons. They held on to their eternal purpose. If you're working in a job beneath your potential, see it as a training ground rather than a trap. If you're living in a small apartment, see it as the seed of stewardship for the home you'll one day own. If people are misunderstanding you, see it as the lesson that not everyone can go where you're going. Your temporary situation is shaping you for your permanent assignment. Nothing in your life is wasted. Not one tear, not 1 hour, not one setback. Everything is preparing you for the moment when purpose and opportunity collide. Sometimes we confuse being hidden with being forgotten. You are not forgotten. You are in preparation. Think about an athlete before the big game. Most of their training happens out of sight. Early mornings, empty gyms, long hours when no one is clapping. That's where greatness is forged. When the lights finally come on, the world sees only the performance but not the process. That's why you can't despise the process you're in. This is where your habits, your mindset, your endurance, and your faith are being built strong enough to carry what's coming next. People will say, if it hasn't happened by now, it never will. Ignore them. Trees don't grow overnight. Masterpieces aren't painted in minutes. Your timeline is not your neighbor's timeline. Your purpose is bigger than your paycheck, bigger than your pain, bigger than the opinions of people. The sooner you anchor your identity to your eternal purpose, rather than your temporary condition, the sooner you'll stop living like a prisoner of circumstances. This is why gratitude in hard times matters so much. Gratitude doesn't ignore your problems, it reframes them. Gratitude says, I may not be where I want to be, but I'm on my way to where I'm supposed to be. Gratitude turns a waiting room into a classroom. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's multiplying. When you train your eyes to see progress rather than lack, you change the atmosphere of your situation. Think about the times in your life when you were convinced you couldn't make it, and yet you did. The heartbreak you thought you'd never heal from, the bills you thought you'd never pay, the challenges you thought you'd never overcome. You're still here, stronger, wiser, deeper. That's evidence that what's inside you is greater than what's around you. The same God who sustained you then will multiply you now. Your purpose didn't die in the last setback. It's still alive, waiting for the right conditions to manifest. Sometimes your greatest growth comes disguised as loss. Losing a job may push you into entrepreneurship. Losing a relationship may open space for the right one. Being overlooked for a promotion may redirect you toward a path of leadership you didn't know existed. Purpose has a way of pulling you toward destiny. Even when you don't understand it, you're not being punished. You're being positioned. Every person you admire, every leader, every innovator, every trailblazer has one thing in common. They refuse to let a temporary situation define their identity. They lived from the inside out, from purpose to performance, from calling to circumstance. And because they did, their lives multiplied beyond recognition. The same can happen for you. When you align your thoughts, words, and actions with your eternal purpose, your temporary circumstances lose their power to define you. You stop living as a victim of your situation and start living as a steward of your destiny. Your purpose will always outlast your pain. Your calling will always outshine your current conditions. And the potential within you will always be bigger than the problems around you. The challenge is to believe that truth when everything you see is screaming the opposite. That's why this season is so critical. This is where you build the muscles of faith, vision, and perseverance. This is where you learn to look beyond the visible and anchor yourself to the invisible, because what's invisible today will be undeniable tomorrow. You may be looking at your life right now and feeling frustrated with how small everything seems. The dream in your heart feels big, but what's in your hands feels tiny. Maybe it's a small business that barely makes profit, a small following on social media, a small apartment you're living in, or even a small paycheck that doesn't seem to stretch far enough. And yet this is exactly where multiplication begins. Everything great starts as something small. Everything mighty begins as something minor. The greatest oak tree begins as a tiny acorn buried in the soil, unseen, unnoticed, and easily overlooked. It does not look like much in its early form, but inside that seed is the potential for shade, for shelter, for generations of life. The small you're holding in your hands right now carries a future you cannot yet imagine. Think about how the smallest habits produce the greatest transformations. One person decides to save just a few dollars a day. Another decides to wake up 15 minutes earlier to pray, meditate, or exercise. Another decides to read one chapter a day. On the surface, these things seem insignificant, but over time they create a momentum that compounds. The person who saved a little has a nest egg years later. The person who woke up early has clarity and discipline that separates them from the rest. The person who read one chapter has a library of knowledge inside them that shifts their life trajectory. Multiplication is never sudden. It's always the product of faithfulness in the small. This is why you cannot despise small beginnings. It's easy to scroll through social media, compare yourself to others, and feel as if you're behind. It's easy to think, what's the point of trying if it's only this much? But think about a farmer. No farmer puts a seed in the ground today and expects a harvest tomorrow. The farmer understands there is a process. The soil must be tilled, the seed must be watered, the roots must form. In the early days, nothing seems to be happening above the ground, but below the surface, everything is taking place. Roots are stretching, nutrients are flowing, and life is building up strength before it emerges. That's where you are right now. The roots of your life are being strengthened under the surface for the fruit that is coming later. Look at a baby learning to walk. The first steps are wobbly and unsteady. They fall more times than they stand. But every small attempt strengthens muscles, builds balance, and trains coordination. Before long, that child who struggled to take 2 steps is running across the room with confidence. Small steps compound into big leaps. The same is true for your ideas, your projects, your gifts. Don't curse the day of small steps. Celebrate it because it's proof that movement is happening. Many people pray for increase, but reject the small opportunities that are the very path to it. They say, I want a global business, but won't be faithful with one local customer. They say, I want to write a book, but won't commit to writing 1 page a day. They say, I want to lead thousands, but refuse to develop the character to lead themselves. You cannot bypass the season of small. It's the gym that trains you for the heavy weight of abundance. If you skip the training, the weight of what you've been asking for will crush you rather than bless you. Think about a musician starting with a small audience in a coffee shop. At first it feels humiliating, but that small stage is where they learn stage presence, connect with listeners, and refine their craft. One day, those small rooms prepare them for stadiums. Think about an entrepreneur selling homemade products at a local market. The sales are modest, but they're learning marketing, product improvement, customer care. One day those lessons become the foundation of a multi-million-dollar business. Small beginnings are not punishment, they're preparation. The reason small matters is because it forces you to develop systems, habits, and character at a scale you can manage. If you're faithful over a few things, you become ready for many. If you're diligent when no one is watching, you become steady when everyone is watching. Small beginnings protect you from exposure before you're ready. They give you the gift of anonymity, so you can experiment, fail, learn, and grow without the spotlight of the world on your back. Look around your life and identify the little you've been ignoring. The little talent, the little money, the little connection, the little time in your day. Those are seeds. Seeds don't look like much, but they hold futures. Seeds don't resemble the harvest, but they carry the harvest. Seeds require planting, watering, and patience. Don't underestimate how powerful your small consistency can be over time. A single drop of water, repeated over days, can carve canyons into stone. Your small, consistent actions, repeated over days, can carve new paths in your destiny. Even in relationships, the principle is true. A small act of kindness can restore hope to someone who's been breaking inside. A small word of encouragement can ignite someone's vision. A small decision to forgive can open the door to healing generations of pain. Small does not mean insignificant. Small often means strategic. Small often means the beginning of something unstoppable. Multiplication always begins with little because the little tests your stewardship. It asks, will you be faithful with this before I give you more? Will you respect the process or try to skip it? Will you prepare for the harvest or complain about the seed? The more you honor the seed, the more you will one day enjoy the harvest. It's in the small that your identity is refined, your gifts are sharpened, and your character is proven. If you can celebrate and nurture the small, you will inevitably grow into the big. You can never step into a transformed life while holding on to the same old patterns of thinking. Everything around you can change, but if your mind remains trapped in old habits, old stories, and old beliefs, you will find yourself back in the same cycles. Transformation begins not with a change of location, but with a change of perspective. It's like trying to install new software on an outdated operating system. Nothing works the way it's supposed to until the system is upgraded. Your mind is that system. If you want to step into a multiplied, expanded, extraordinary life, you have to be willing to renew your thinking and break the invisible ceilings you've been living under. Many people pray for a new season, but keep the same mentality that created the last one. They ask for abundance while holding onto a scarcity mindset. They ask for healthy relationships, but cling to the wounds of the past. They want success, but believe deep down they don't deserve it. It's like pouring new wine into old wineskins. It bursts every time because the container can't handle the content. Your life can only rise to the level of your thinking. If you think small, you will live small. If you think like a victim, you will experience life as a victim. But if you think like a visionary, your reality will start to match your vision. Look at someone who grew up believing money is evil or success is selfish. Even when opportunities come, they will sabotage them subconsciously because their mind says, I don't belong here. Look at someone who has been told they are not smart enough, not attractive enough, not worthy enough. They will walk into rooms with their head down, energy dimmed, potential locked away. Not because the opportunity isn't real, but because their mindset filters everything. When you renew your mind, you give yourself permission to show up differently. You start walking into rooms with your head high, not because you're arrogant, but because you understand you're worthy to be there. Every breakthrough in history began with someone daring to think differently. The world was once convinced the earth was flat, until someone questioned it. People thought flight was impossible until the Wright brothers built wings out of imagination. Transformation is birthed by minds willing to challenge what they've been told. This same principle applies to your personal life. If you've been told no one in your family succeeds, you have to be the one who thinks differently. If you've been told people like you never get out, you have to be the one who renews your thinking and says, I am the exception. You don't break generational limits by chance. You break them by changing the way you think and then living according to that new thought. Consider someone who's been living paycheck to paycheck for years. The moment they shift their mindset from consumer to investor, from spender to builder, their decisions change. They stop wasting money on things that depreciate and start putting money into things that multiply. The same paycheck can start building wealth instead of debt simply because of a renewed perspective. Or think of someone who has been in toxic relationships, believing they're unworthy of love. The moment they renew their mind and understand their value, their standards rise, their boundaries strengthen, and they begin attracting people who match their new level of self-respect. The external change follows the internal shift. Renewing your mind also means reprogramming your self-talk. The words you speak to yourself create the atmosphere you live in. If your inner dialogue is full of defeat, you will live defeated. If your inner dialogue is full of possibility, you will start moving toward possibilities. You have to train your mind the way an athlete trains their body, daily, intentionally, repeatedly. You replace limiting beliefs with empowering truths. You replace "I can't" with "I'm learning how." You replace "it's impossible" with "it's on the way." Over time, your mind begins to expect growth instead of failure, abundance instead of lack, solutions instead of problems. There's a story about a group of elephants tied to small wooden stakes. When they were babies, they tried to pull away but couldn't. Over time, they learned to believe the stake was stronger than they were. As full-grown adults, they could have easily snapped the rope, but they didn't even try. Why? Because their minds still believed the lie they learned in childhood. Many people live like those elephants. They have grown in experience, skills, and potential, but their minds are still chained to old beliefs, old mistakes, and old failures. Renewal of your mind cuts the rope and sets you free to explore your real capacity. Transformation requires surrounding yourself with new voices, new environments, and new perspectives. If you keep listening to the same negative talk, you'll stay in the same negative space. Feed your mind with books, mentors, and conversations that challenge you to grow. Limit the voices that drain you and magnify the voices that inspire you. Just as your body becomes what you eat, your mind becomes what you consume. If you consume fear all day, you'll live fearful. If you consume possibility all day, you'll start seeing possibilities where others see dead ends. When you begin to renew your mind, you start to see that obstacles are not stop signs but signposts. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What can I learn?" You stop reacting and start responding. You stop waiting for someone to rescue you and start taking ownership of your next level. This inner shift produces an outer transformation. You begin to carry yourself differently, speak differently, and attract differently. Opportunities that used to intimidate you become invitations you're ready for. Problems that used to overwhelm you become puzzles you're eager to solve. Your mind is the soil where your future grows. Plant scarcity and you harvest limitation. Plant abundance and you harvest expansion. Plant self-doubt and you harvest hesitation. Plant self-belief and you harvest courage. Transformation begins in your inner world long before it shows up in your outer world. If you want more, start thinking more. If you want bigger, start thinking bigger. If you want different, start thinking different. You can't pour a gallon of blessing into a pint-sized mindset. You have to expand the container of your thinking. Faith by itself is like a seed sitting on a shelf. It contains potential, but no power until it's planted. Action by itself can be like running on a treadmill. You're moving but not progressing. But when faith and action come together, multiplication is activated. Many people pray for change, hope for change, wish for change, but never step out and prepare for what they've been asking for. They're waiting for a sign while the sign is waiting for them. Faith is believing it can happen. Action is behaving as if it's already on the way. When you combine those two, your life becomes magnetic to opportunities, people, and resources that align with your vision. Think of a farmer who prays for a harvest but never plants any seeds. They can fast, meditate, declare, and hope, but the field will remain empty until they put something into the ground. Faith is seeing the harvest in your imagination. Action is planting the seeds in reality. In daily life, this might look like applying for the promotion you've been praying for, starting the small business you've been dreaming about, taking the course that upgrades your skills, or showing up consistently when no one is applauding. Every small step you take while believing for bigger is a way of planting seeds into your future. You may not see instant results, but the process of multiplication has already begun. The woman with the little jar of oil had to pour before it multiplied. The fishermen had to cast their nets before the catch appeared. They didn't wait for the miracle to show up before making room for it. They moved first. That's how life works. If you're believing for financial increase, but refuse to budget, save, or invest, you are blocking your own harvest. If you're believing for healthier relationships, but never set boundaries, never heal, or never communicate, you're asking for a result without creating the container to hold it. Faith without preparation is empty wishing. Faith with preparation is like striking a match to dry wood. It ignites. Every day you get to decide whether you'll be a spectator or a participant in your own miracle. Spectators wait for something to happen. Participants act as if it's already on the way. Imagine someone who's been praying for a new job for years. They have the skills, but they haven't updated their resume, haven't applied anywhere, haven't prepared for interviews. Meanwhile, someone else with equal faith but active preparation is practicing their pitch, networking, taking courses, and putting themselves in the right places. Guess which one experiences multiplication first? Not because they're more deserving, but because action creates openings for faith to flow into. In your own life, think about how you can start building the container for what you've been asking for. If you're praying for abundance, set up the systems to handle it. If you're believing for a bigger platform, work on your message and your delivery. If you're believing for love, become the kind of person who attracts and sustains healthy love. Don't wait for the thing to come to become ready. Become ready now so the thing can come. Faith is the blueprint. Action is the construction. You can hold the most beautiful blueprint in your hands, but until you start laying bricks, there will be no building. One of the reasons action is so powerful is because it tells your subconscious you're serious. When you move in the direction of your belief, you shift from passive wishing to active becoming. It's like training a muscle. Every rep makes you stronger, even when you don't see it yet. Every step toward your goal, no matter how small, builds momentum, confidence, and capacity. And momentum draws support. People are more likely to support someone who is moving than someone who is waiting. Doors tend to open for people already walking toward them. This principle shows up everywhere. An aspiring artist who paints every day posts their work, learns from feedback, and keeps showing up eventually catches the attention of someone who can elevate their career. A student who studies daily, asks for help, and takes extra classes finds themselves ready for scholarships when they appear. A person believing for better health, but also walking every day, drinking water, eating intentionally, finds their prayers and their habits working together to produce transformation. Multiplication doesn't happen in one big explosion. It happens because faith keeps you looking forward while action keeps you moving forward. When you live this way, you stop waiting for the perfect moment and start making the moment perfect. You stop waiting for confidence and start building confidence through doing. You stop waiting for permission and start giving yourself permission. You stop being paralyzed by fear and start using fear as fuel to move. Faith and action together make you dangerous to stagnation, to limitation, to doubt. They make you unstoppable because even when the results aren't visible yet, the process is already in motion. Faith also requires risk. Action is stepping out when you can't see the full staircase. It's launching the product, making the call, pitching the idea, or writing the first page. It's uncomfortable, but that discomfort is evidence of growth. Every master was once a beginner who acted on their faith. Every leader was once a learner who stepped out before they felt ready. If you're waiting to feel ready, you'll wait forever. Readiness comes in the doing. When you put your faith into action, you start to expect the extraordinary. You begin to live in a state of preparation rather than desperation. Opportunities that once felt out of reach start to feel normal because you've built the skill set, the mindset, and the capacity to handle them. You no longer see obstacles as reasons to stop. You see them as invitations to rise. And that posture of movement attracts multiplication. You've reached the point in this journey where everything you've heard must now become more than inspiration. It must become ignition. You cannot go back to seeing yourself the same way. You cannot go back to believing the lie that your current situation is all there is. You cannot go back to the mindset that told you to wait quietly in the corner while life passes you by. This is the moment you rise. This is the moment you breathe in possibility like oxygen. This is the moment you tell your future, I'm coming for you, and I will not stop until I see what I've been believing for. Every great transformation in history began with a decision, just like the one you're making right now, to stop living by default and start living by design. No one will hand you your destiny wrapped in a box. You have to take the seed of faith in your hand, water it with action, and watch it multiply into a harvest that defies logic. The walls you've been staring at are not prisons. They're trampolines waiting for you to bounce higher. The closed doors you've been afraid of are not endings. They're invitations to knock harder or build your own door. Every time you feel resistance, remember this: rockets launch against gravity, diamonds form under pressure, muscles grow under strain. The very thing you've been calling your obstacle is about to become your evidence. What you're walking through today is proof that something extraordinary is being built inside you. Say to yourself right now, I am bigger than my circumstances, stronger than my fears, and destined for more than my present reality. Speak it until your doubt gets tired of arguing with you. Speak it until your fear packs up and leaves. Speak it until the atmosphere around you begins to shift in your favor. From this day forward, refuse to shrink to fit the life you've outgrown. Refuse to apologize for your dreams. Refuse to live small because small feels safe. Safety has never built anything legendary. Comfort has never changed the world. It's the bold who step out of the boat that experience the miracle of walking on water. It's the risk takers who leave the familiar shore and discover the new horizon. You are not a victim of chance. You are a vessel of purpose. Your story is not over, it's unfolding. Every chapter you've lived so far was training for the chapter still to come. When people doubt you, smile and keep moving. When fear whispers, answer with action. When doubt says, who do you think you are? Answer back, I am becoming everything I was created to be. Say to yourself the words of champions. I am not defined by my failures. I am refined by them. I am not defined by my past. I am propelled by it. I am not my mistakes. I am my lessons. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. Every time you declare these truths, you are rewiring your mind and calling your future into the present. You are breaking free from invisible chains and opening invisible doors. You are stepping into the version of yourself that has been waiting to be unleashed. This is not hype. This is the discipline of transformation. This is how ordinary people become extraordinary. By choosing not to stay where they fell, but to rise where they stand. Look at your hands right now. They may seem empty, but they are full of potential. Look at your life right now. It may seem small, but it's pregnant with greatness. Look at your future right now. It may seem far, but it's racing toward you at the speed of your belief and your action. Stop asking if you're worthy. Stop waiting for permission. Stop measuring your future by your present conditions. Everything can change from this point forward because you decided it would. You are the architect of your future, the captain of your destiny, and the author of the next chapter. The power is not just in the world around you, it's in the words within you. As you walk out of this moment, hold your head high like someone who knows the ending has already been written in their favor. Walk with the confidence of someone who knows multiplication is not coming. It's already in motion. Act as though the doors are open, because action is the language of faith. Live as though the promise is fulfilled, because living that way makes the promise inevitable. Refuse to be ordinary. Refuse to disappear into the background. Refuse to give up your birthright of impact. The same energy that built galaxies, carved mountains, and filled oceans is flowing through you. You have survived everything designed to break you. You have walked through nights darker than most can imagine. And yet you're still here, standing, breathing, believing. That's not an accident, that's a sign. A sign that your future is brighter than your past. A sign that you are more powerful than you've realized. A sign that the very best days of your life have not been lived yet. Now take everything you've heard, take everything you've survived, take everything you've dreamed and turn it into momentum. Say to yourself, I'm not waiting for someday, I'm living it now. I'm not hoping for a miracle, I'm preparing for it now. I'm not asking if it's possible, I'm showing it's possible now. When you wake up tomorrow, let these words be your inner soundtrack. When you face opposition, let them be your battle cry. When doubt comes knocking, let them be your answer. You are not your struggle. You are not your mistake. You are not your limitation. You are the miracle in motion, the breakthrough in progress, the testimony being written. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your season to rise and multiply beyond recognition.